And today we move on to number 6, which is sleeping in a lying position. Number 7 is to sleep while leaning or reclining against something, that if that object is removed, the sleeper would fall. Number 8 is where one's intelligence has been overpowered with unconsciousness. And number 9 is insanity.
Okay. All of them, we did them together because they are linked. The sleeping itself doesn't break wudu. But when a person is in the state of sleeping, he is unaware, not conscious enough to know if, let's say, wind has passed. And when a person, he is resting, he is at ease, the body is ease, he's not holding himself up, he is completely lying down on the floor or relying on something, putting his weight on something, it is much easier for the wind to pass. So the sleeping itself, the sleeping is not the cause of breaking the wudu, but there are two things. Number one, a deep sleep. A light sleep doesn't break wudu. We'll give some examples. And secondly, where a person can't hold himself up. As long as he's sleeping but he's holding himself up, that doesn't break wudu because he is aware enough to hold himself up. Thirdly, if he's aware of his surroundings, he's dozing off a little bit, but he's aware of his surrounding, he can hear people. If someone says something, he's dozed off, but he can reply back. This person, this sleep is not deep enough for his wudu to be broken. So, the way you look at the issue, the Hanafis and Shafi'is, they concentrate on if a person was holding himself up. I'll explain that a little bit more. If he can't hold himself, his wudu is broken. For example, a person sleeps in Taraweeh or Qiyamul Layl. This is an example. He is not leaning on a pillar. He is still holding his body weight up. So he may be not fully asleep, because if he was fully asleep, he will fall. Some people sleep in ruku and some people sleep in sajda. That's what the Hanafis and Shafi'is concentrate on. The first view, which is the Hanafi and Shafi'i view, sleeping, leaning on a pillow or anything. I'm leaning on this. To the extent, if this was removed under me, I will fall. That type of sleep will break wudu, because I am completely relying on something and I'm leaning on it, whether it's a pillow, whether it's a wall, whether it's a table, but I am so reliant on it, I put all my weight on it, that if that was removed, I won't be able to hold myself up. So they say that would break the wudu. But if someone sleep while not leaning on something, he is still holding himself up, it doesn't break wudu. Like I gave example, we see sometime in like Qiyamul Layl, when it's too long, some brothers they're moving right and left, but still there. No one says they've broken the wudu. And Ahnaf, they have a very unique view compared to the other fuqaha. They say if someone slept in ruku or qiyam or sajda, that doesn't break their wudu, because there are hadith in which a sahabi said to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you were in sajda and you were sleeping, and then you haven't done wudu and you're praying again. And he says, if a person he is not leaning on something and sleeps, that doesn't break his wudu. there are a lot of ahadith on the subject, and most of them are not very authentic, but some authentic ahadith. In the books of fiqh, you find many narrations. The best narration, and I think the most authentic maybe on this subject, which is found in Sahih Muslim, where it says the Sahaba used to be, they used to wait for the Isha Salah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would delay Isha Salah, sometime even up to midnight. People would go to sleep and Sahaba would be waiting in the masjid. And the people, the Sahaba, while waiting, they'd be sitting on their place and sleeping. And then when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come out, they will stand up and pray. But they were sleeping on their places without leaning on something else, but holding themselves up. Just sitting down and sleeping. Like you find sometime a student, his book is open and he's sleeping. If the lesson is too long and too boring for him. But nevertheless, that hadith in Muslim is probably the most strongest hadith to support that view. The sleeping, if you're not leaning on something, it doesn't break your wudu. In other words, a light sleep doesn't break your wudu. If it's a light sleep and if you are not leaning on something. If you sleep and you see a dream, that sleep is too deep. Or if you sleep and someone talks to you, you don't know what he said, then that is the deep sleep. So that is the view of the Hanafis and Shafi'is. Let's go to the Maliki and Hanbali view.